This action continued throughout the day and intensified when Task Force 58 dive bombers and Avengers ordered east to avoid the air battle, dumped their ordnance over Guam. Before noon, 15 of the Yorktown and 17 of the Hornet, these are hell divers, bombed Orote's field on Guam. Another attack was mounted at about 1:30 by some Dauntlesses from the Lexington and the Enterprise. 9 Avengers from Enterprise and about 10 Hellcats were used for escort. Their armor-piercing bombs carried by the dive bombers did very little to damage the airfield, but the Avengers succeeded in cratering the runways. Other attacks continued throughout the afternoon, including from the Hellcats from Bunker Hill, who strafed Japanese aircraft on the ground, and 11 Hell divers from the Essex likewise did so at about 2 p.m. The price to keep Guam suppressed during the day was quite steep. 6 Hellcats and 1 Helldiver were lost, but the base Air Force did not support Ozawa's main attack.
Compared to the losses the Japanese were suffering in terms of aircraft, that's really nothing.
Yeah. Starting
But,
at...
I would just also say a lot of these attacks on the airfields were not specifically ordered by the top brass.
Yeah.
Mitscher had just got them airborne and flying, just so that they are not on the carriers during the attack, so that the Hellcats can just focus on combat. Because any bomber, torpedo bomber, dive bomber is just a waiting tinderbox.
Yeah.
And a lot of the squadron commanders are like, yeah, let's just go and, cause some trouble for the Japanese on the land.
Pretty much. Because, they're already in action over the air, so that makes sense.
Yeah, they were ordered to orbit east of the carrier group.
Yeah.
So they're anyways closer to the islands. A lot of them actually expected to be in trouble with the Navy when they returned, because they did disobey orders, and the Navy's like, you guys did fine. Good initiative.
Yeah. So, starting at about 5:30 a.m., the strike groups from the USS Lexington, with support from Avengers from Enterprise, Yorktown, and Bellewood, along with bomb-carrying Hellcats from the USS Hornet and Yorktown, attacked Admiral Jojima's carriers. They inflicted minor damage on Junyo and Io. Most of Lexington's Dauntless dive bombers targeted the Junyo, and at 7:04 a.m., 1 or 2 bombs...
Just wanting to... This is because Mitscher managed to convince Pruans to let him pursue a little bit more over the night, and that's why Task Force 58 has now moved into extreme viable range.
Yeah,
I'm going to use that term.
Yep. So at 7:04, 1 or 2 bombs hit the carrier's island, with several near misses causing minor flooding. Casualties would be about 53 dead. Overall, the damage was quite light. A group of dive bombers headed for Rio, while 5 Avengers from Enterprise attacked at 7:10. 8 hits were claimed, but near misses produced only slight damage. So, again, the Japanese are not the only ones of exaggerating claims. The Americans are, of course, guilty as well. It's just the Japanese were the most outlandish with their exaggerations, I'd say, in World War II.
Everyone exaggerated. We are just having an issue with the scale of exaggeration.
Yeah. I mean, there was a point. There's a point when the Japanese said that they destroyed 10 U.S. carriers, and there was not even 5 in this one battle. Anyways, but yeah, they were pretty ridiculous. Clio survived further attacks from the Enterprise, her Dauntlesses, and Avengers, also from the Yorktown and the Hornet. Though the attack had a significant psychological effect on the Japanese rather than the physical damage. Hio suffered the most successful attack of the evening. The carrier had left the formation to launch 2 Jills to lay some smoke screen, and was behind the main body when the Americans attacked. In the opening assault by Dauntlesses from Lexington, 1 bomb hit the foremast and exploded above the bridge, resulting in heavy casualties amongst the bridge personnel. The Japanese reported another bomb hit to the flight deck, but the group of 4 from Bellewood, Avengers with torpedoes, delivered the fatal blow. 3 conducted an anvil attack, and 1 torpedo hit the carrier's starboard engine room. This was followed by a dive bombing attack from 6 Enterprise Dauntless. The single torpedo hit, the one that was scored by the Avengers during the entire attack, proved fatal to the largely unprotected carrier. Within minutes, Hio began to list. She proceeded on her port engine for a time, then went dead in the water. Just before sunset, at about 7:17, a large explosion of its ship caused a loss of her power. The Japanese believed a submarine launched a torpedo to cause the blast, but there was no American submarines in this area at the time. Fuel-fed conflagration ensued, with multiple explosions going off, and the order to abandon ship was given. The Hio would sink at about 8:32, with 247 crew members killed. The final American counterattack would come from aircraft from the USS Wasp, targeting Ozawa's supply group to disrupt the withdrawal of the first mobile fleet by damaging her oilers. 3 oilers were damaged, and 2 were later scuttled. And I might just put out there, one of the most valuable vessels the Japanese have, and they have very few of them, are oilers. So this is a significant blow. In this sequence of uncoordinated attacks, the Americans had lost about 20 aircraft and destroyed 80 Japanese aircraft in the process. Although results were a little underwhelming, with only 1 carrier sunk, they fared quite better than Ozawa's combined strikes the previous day. At about 8:45, American aircraft began returning to their carriers. With targets 240 to about 300 miles away, fuel exhaustion loomed for many pilots. On a dark night, returning aircraft began landing on any available deck at around 8:45. Mitscher ordered extra illumination on all the decks to guide the aviators home, and the scene devolved into quite a hectic scramble, as you can imagine.
They landed on any aircraft. They did not give a damn what is
Yeah.
your squadron or group. And
Yeah.
it was a very risky move by Mitscher, because any Japanese submarine that might have been nearby, oh, you've just
Open target,
given
yeah.
them the, like, hey guys, I'm here, please hit me.
Yep.
That's pretty much the lights at night.
Yeah. The final tally showed heavy American losses of 100 pilots and 109 crewmen. Meanwhile, Admiral Toyota ordered Ozawa to disengage and retreat northwest. I'm just going to actually put back my map. Northwest, the Japanese fleet had evaded Mitscher's pursuit, and they reached Okinawa on the afternoon of June the 22nd. In the end, the Japanese had sought a decisive battle, and they were decisively defeated. They lost 3 carriers, sunk, 2 damaged, about 394 carrier aircraft, roughly 200 land-based aircraft, 2 oilers, and 4 other ships, with around 3,000 Japanese fatalities. 3,000. Jesus. The Americans lost about 130 aircraft and 76 aviators, with none of their damaged ships taken out of action.
I might also just add, the Japanese, with 350 carrier aircraft losses, they had come into this particular battle with 450 in total. So you're
Insane.
talking about what, 7/9 of the force? That's that's almost 80% of all the carrier aircraft of Japan have been destroyed in this battle.
Yeah.
And I don't think you mentioned it, but I wanted to also talk about the Taiho, because we were focused mostly on the aviation combat. But the
Yeah.
Taiho, which was the aircraft that was hit by the torpedo, by the albacore, that torpedo hit not only damaged the elevator for a bit, but it ruptured a fuel line, and this unrefined fuel started to leak out. And at the same time, the inexperienced crew saw a lot of ordnance was not stashed. They were in exposed areas, and then uh, it basically just became a cooking tinderbox,
Yeah.
and the ship just blew up. And yeah, it was like the first armor plated heavy fleet carrier of Japan that was sunk on its first engagement, practically. And it also destroyed for several hours Ozawa's control of the battle. Taiho had advanced radar by the Japanese for the Japanese Navy to coordinate and understand the whole picture, and he had to transfer to another vessel which did not have such facilities.